Uh, we acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, and the Huron-Wendat peoples. We value the significant and historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. Now, if you'll please stand for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Turn it over to our clerk for a closed meeting report.
Deputy Mayor Shepley, through you, on January 13, 2025 at 5:30 p.m., Council moved into closed session pursuant to Section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And that's the extent of my report.
Declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, we don't have our counselors on view.
Deputy Mayor, can you hear me? It's Councillor Verbeek.
Yes, Councillor Vic, we can hear you. We're just trying to get you on screen. If you just take 1 minute. Declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, I'll need a adoption for the published agenda. The published agenda for January 13th, 2025, regular council meeting be adopted with the published addendum. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Mady, seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Need adoption of the regular council meeting minutes of December 16th, 2024, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held December 16th, 2024 be adopted and circulated. Moved by Councillor Garon, seconded by Councillor McGuire Blaze. All in favor? And that carries. Public presentations. And I'll ask Dane Sanford to move to the podium on parking concerns on Walnut Street near Sanford and Sun Market's entrance. Welcome, Dan. You'll have 5 minutes to speak.
Talk that long. So thanks for seeing me, everybody here, acknowledging the chair and all the councilors. And sorry, not familiar with the ritual. What I'm looking to propose is help with our Walnut Street entrance at the grocery store, Sanford and Son Supermarket in Harrow. We've always been kind of bottlenecked by a residential street that runs alongside us. We've got King Street as the main street that transports pouring to our grocery store. We've been landlocked forever on that property. We've got the cemetery behind us, Shoppers beside us. So trucks pull in from the residential side and have to maneuver and jackknife around the corner telephone pole that's been wiped out before, but we paid to have it replaced. And we're just looking to make it more demarcated right up to the side of the sidewalks. There's a tenant that's on the east side of Walnut Street, right across from our shipping entrance. And often the transports will be trying to back up. And with the blind side backup, it's very difficult negotiating it. So I'd just like to have something in place. You know, I apologize. I didn't know it was going to be this formal to have something more concrete showing. Oh, great. I guess Cassie had added some pictures. That's the entrance that we kind of paved, and they come around the telephone pole in the corner there. So they'll have to hug. You'll see the grass is not growing in between the road and the sidewalk. The transports have to pull a little bit to the right close to the sidewalk, and then start backing up as per that, come close to the telephone pole. And then right across, there's a tenant that I just need half of the frontage during business hours. Even though business hours are 8 a.m., we do have trucks that are just a little bit before. So dawn till dusk might work, but it's really 6 o'clock to about 3 or 4. Somewhere in there, we may have a transport come in, and perfect. That area is critical. That's a bad one. He's actually pulling a little bit into the person's driveway. I'm just looking for a demarcated area that allows the front of transports to be able to go right in front of that half of his frontage for part of the day. Okay, I don't know if there's other things I should say. I think that's it.
I don't know if there's any questions. Any questions for Mr. Simba? Any questions? Mayor Bondi.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to our delegate. Thank you, Dane, for coming forward. And I see the issue all the time, and I also think it's a congested corner. And if we had a road with actually curb and gutters, I don't know if people would actually be even able to park there. And it is a bad corner in every respect in our town. And I really want, we need to eat. We like groceries. I'm there like 3-4 times a week. So I personally, I've seen this before in other parts of our town. So if you go to Maidstone and Talbot, where the older Tim Hortons is in Essex Ward 1, where the banks are on the other side, along that road, there are no parking signs. So I view it as something similar to that. And my only question would be if that vehicle, that tenant or that homeowner right there, if they needed space, is there any will on your end to say, hey, you could park in my parking lot? Is that something you've floated at all?
I've talked to the tenant, only became an issue during the handful of times over the years. Generally, there isn't a lot of daytime parking right there per se that congests it enough that they can't make it by. But quite often, the parking lot is used by the whole city or the whole town. So KFC used it whenever they had events. The fair or the parade, when it's on, it is swamped. At night, people will park there and walk their dogs. And the tenants have had people park just there overnight. So there's no problem with people parking on the property. It's not like we rope it off or demarcate it. So, yeah.
Please.
Thank you through the chair. My question would be to our administration, specifically Director Gerard. In this case scenario, what would you recommend us do? Would it be a no parking period? Would it be a no parking from, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.? What would administration recommend in this case?
Through the chair. So typically we would ask the businesses, would be responsible for their own operations and to make amendments where they need to facilitate their operations. We did have our road superintendent attend the site this morning to observe a delivery that was there this morning. The driver that was there didn't seem to have any issue accessing the property from Walnut, and that it was possible. So with that being said, it's within council's authority to make that change. I would note that the two residential properties on Walnut on that side of the road don't have a lot of on-site parking in their driveways. They only have one vehicle driveways each. So knowing that this is a tenant, there could be multiple people in this unit. So I would just caution that, you may be cutting off, much needed parking for residential purposes. However, the parking bylaw does permit council to make those amendments and restrict the parking if they so choose.
Thank you through the chair. So further with chat. So we're coming up to a stop sign here, and so if we just said like no parking, because there's no parking, I don't know, however many feet before a stop sign, we would just extend that no parking all the way to the end of, or the beginning of the cemetery or the end of Sanford and Sons property. Is that what would probably be ideal instead of like I'm thinking that would probably be ideal rather than like a time limit, just extending the no parking zone from one property to two properties. You looked at the aerial view.
So typically in this circumstance, if we were extending that no parking, we would just install one sign that says no parking from here to intersection. So council could choose where they wanted that sign to go. So if you wanted it to be at that driveway, that's being impacted, we could propose some language in the parking bylaw for council.
Counselor Hammond.
Thank you. Through the chair, I really don't have any questions. I just wanted to state that I'm quite familiar with that corner, and over the years, the landscape has changed a little bit. That has resulted in this parking out front where there never really used to be any. I would say I'm in favor of making it no parking up to that. Dane's obviously more than accommodating as far as the use of his parking lot for the many uses that it does get used for. I think we'd be in line with putting some no parking in there from there to the corner, just to facilitate, because you can see just by the pictures when he does have to maneuver around that car that he is going into the neighbors' driveways and stuff like that. And I think we have an obligation to protect the neighbors, even though it might be his car that's causing that problem anyway. So my statement.
At this time, I need a motion to receive the report, and then we'll look for any direction from council for administration at that point. So I'd have a mover to receive the report, moved by Mayor Bondi, second by Councillor McGuire Blaze. Any questions? Was that a question, Councillor Verbeek? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Now, do we have any motions or direction for administration at this time? Mayor Bondi.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, a motion to direct administration to work with Dane Sanford in installing no parking signs on Walnut Street down to the two houses.
A seconder for that. Seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? I do have a question for the mover and the seconder, if it's appropriate. So we're going with a no parking period, not a time limit or anything like that? So you want to have a complete no parking? Mayor Bondi.
Do you think it's cleanest doing no parking period? Because what if somebody parks there overnight and then there's a delivery in the morning? We could always revisit it if we do get complaints, but in the meantime, they can also park in his parking lot. I don't want them to get in trouble if they're parked there and a transport truck comes in the morning and they haven't moved. I just think it's cleaner.
Clarify, do you still second Councillor Hammond?
Yeah, I still agree with that. I have one question to ask Dane, that if he has anything to add to that, or if
You can at this time, Councillor Hammond.
no?
Nope.
Sorry about that, Dane.
Chair, so I just want to make sure, where's the sign right now for no parking? Does it start at the corner of County Road 20 and Walnut, or is it back past his driveway, like beyond where this white car is that I'm looking at parked on the road? Or is there no sign at all right now? The motion is to put a sign where exactly, where the end of this red line drawn is, at the start of the parking lot? Not to you, that's to the movers.
Director, or Mayor Bondi or Director Gerard, whoever wants to field this one.
Chair, I interpret the motion to include the minivan that's in the pictures as no parking. That's how I interpret the motion now. I would make a suggestion also to include in the motion that council direct us to amend the parking bylaw to authorize such restriction.
Okay, Mayor Bondi? And to the seconder, yes? Well, any other questions? Councillor Mady?
Looking for a clarification on that. So you would bring back a report to us with where the no parking is, or you would just put in the no parking where you guys felt?
The chair, we would bring back an amended parking bylaw with the amended language for this parking restriction that would need to be approved by council with 3 readings.
Seeing no more questions? All in favor? Oh, I need to see my other councilors. All in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Dan? Moving on to item 8.2, Essex Regional Conservation Authority. I'll move to Tim Burney to make a presentation. Invite him to the podium. You have 5 minutes? 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Your Deputy Worship. How does the chair feel?
I'm not comfortable in it yet, as you can tell.
Thanks for the opportunity to come here tonight. And again, Your Deputy Worship, council and staff. We had quite a year at the Conservation Authority this year. Significant success, significant challenges, and we met with both, and we survived 2024. There were some major accomplishments this year. I'll start off and actually acknowledge Kevin Gerard's participation. The initiative to update the stormwater standards for the entire region, which was about a 1.5 or 2 year review of the stormwater standards for the region. And again, through assistance with your town staff and what have you, those standards have been updated and accepted region-wide. Puts an even playing field on development reviews, and development's consultants with respect to dealing with stormwater for the entire region. The coastal hazards mapping was completed for the entire shoreline, Lake St. Clair, Detroit River, and Lake Erie. And again, the initiative was spearheaded through County Council and with leadership and advice provided by my staff on it. And again, that mapping had not been updated since 1976, so it was due. And we were able to secure funding for that and completed that undertaking. We unfortunately saw some significant flooding in the region, and significant flooding impacting on the town of Essex specifically. Again, your staff should be commended for their response, along with county staff, in dealing with that. Conservation Authority staff again assisted with providing timely advisories, warnings, and we did follow-up surveys and assisted with the response to the extent we are delegated to do so. Significant development has taken place throughout the region and within the town of Essex. We've been meeting with your developers and again, your technical staff, Kevin and Laurie and their staff. And again, we've enjoyed the working relationship that we have. Things to note as well. We received the single largest grant from the federal government for a conservation authority outside the Golden Triangle this year, $14 million. And that is monies, first and foremost, that will reestablish our watershed stewardship programming that deals with, most specifically, 75% of our watershed is agriculture. And 75% of our watershed requires advice, direction, some care and feeding with respect to hazards and how hazards affect that area of our watershed. So 6.3 million of that 14 million will be going towards, and it's a multi-year grant, and it will be going for reestablishment of watershed stewardship in our rural areas of this region. We still, though, require, we cannot live on grants, and we still require support. And this municipality has always shown great leadership with supporting us as a conservation authority, and I wish to acknowledge that. We also completed our Clean Water Green Spaces 20-year summary. And over the 20 years of Clean Water Green Spaces, there has been a $14.8 million municipal contribution, with all municipalities, City of Windsor to Pelee Island and everybody in between contributed $14.8 million. With that $14.8 million, we brought back an additional $15.2 million over the 20-year term of Clean Water Green Spaces. That $30 million is an investment in our future and our children's futures. It allows us to acquire at-risk properties threatened by development. It allows us to undertake reforestation and restoration throughout the region. And again, that program is still moving forward. This municipality has supported. We are going back to a couple of municipalities who have reconsidered support. And
Sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but that's your time, so I'll have to see if I can get a motion to allow you 5 more minutes to speak. An additional 5. Moved by Councillor McGuire-Blaze, seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Continue on. You have another 5 minutes.
thank you, Deputy Worship. Sorry to be so long-winded, but I feel like I'm at home. Again, that program, we're pushing that program to be reinvigorated. Unfortunately, that program falls into non-mandatory, and so it's subject to me approaching municipalities and municipalities agreeing to contribute. We wish to continue with that program because, again, having that reserve in place allows us, when we access these grants, to immediately have matching funds available to immediately access grants that are available. So I also wish to acknowledge very capable representation on our board, Katie McGuire-Blaze and Jason Maddie, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to work with them as members of council. With that, we have put together the budget that is in your correspondence, and we have a budget that's moving forward where we're only slightly under 3% as a global increase. Again, in these times, in these challenging times, we attempted to be most responsible with respect to managing what we need to deal with for increases, and we wanted to keep those increases below what we're looking at for typical COLA for this region. And so I think we've been successful with that. Happy to take any questions and any comments or any concerns. And thank you for the opportunity to be here in front of you this evening.
This time, I just want to let council know we'll be looking for to receive the report and to approve the draft budget. So if there's any questions for Bernie at this time. Mayor Bondi.
Thank you, Chair, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for coming in front of us and for all the great work you do in our area. Last week, we had a brief conversation in the hallway, and you mentioned something that should be on the municipality's radar in terms of flood management and collecting data. Can you please share with us what that is so that we can put it on our radar here and potentially look at our 2026 budget? Something to do with catching rainwater in one of our areas that we don't have enough information for is McGregor. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, please, Mr. Bernie?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. For some time now, we've been in discussion with previous administrations here in the town about expansion to our flood forecasting system for the region. We have a system through telemetry and data loggers that we access and gain the information about antecedent conditions, how much rain has fallen, when it's fallen throughout the region. You have areas of your municipality that have historic drainage and flooding problems, that being the McGregor area, Sucker Creek area. We had put forward a proposal some time ago, almost a decade ago, to again increase the numbers of flood forecasting stations throughout our region. And we had suggested 2 additional stations for Essex proper. And again, one in the McGregor area and then one out off of the Gesto Road. Those stations, again, that provides us a record of rainfall. It provides us data that's useful for us for, again, future flood forecasting purposes and for your technical staff with respect to what kind of storm systems are we dealing with and planning for design capabilities in the future and design criteria in the future. So again, expanding that system and having more stations available to us to access in a timely fashion will facilitate how we can assist the municipality with advance warning and also to retrieve data and hold data for future engineering purposes and design purposes.
Reed, did you have a question?
Certainly through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Burney. I liked that idea, and I hope that in the near future we can move forward with these stations. My question is about so today I live on a concession, and when you're driving up and down the concessions, as I'm sure you're well aware, there's all the snow blowing and the buildups, and I've had a plow go by repeatedly today because in a matter of a few short hours, when the wind is blowing, they cover the roads. Now, all the farms that have trees along the front of them are the clear patches, and I've become very familiar with where the road is nice and clear because of these tree lines along the front of the farmers' fields. Is there has there been ever could there be a partnership with farmers to plant these trees, a grant or a subsidy or a discount, so that more farmers could put these tree lines? Because I understand it also helps with the erosion of their field, the loss of their dirt on the field, and it certainly helps with the winter control on the roads.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, Your Deputy Worship. The Clean Water Green Spaces program, actually, one of its principles is to indeed provide assistance and subsidies towards tree planting on private lands. Unfortunately, the province has seen fit to make that again non-mandatory, but we have secured and are looking for funds every day with respect to reforestation and restoration of our region. We are sitting right now at about 8% tree cover. We should have 12 to 15%. I need to commend County Council because County Council has approved a target of 15% that we want to work very close with the county on. But to answer the question directly, yes, there is. And we have tree planting programs available. We've struggled in the last little while looking for, it's not about money. It's about, again, the convenience of farming practice with larger equipment and turning radius and sight lines with respect to the agricultural community. But again, we will knock on doors, make phone calls, and use social media to advise that there are funds available for windbreak opportunity and restoration and reforestation opportunities. And we're happy to pursue that with that regard.
Yes, thank you. Follow up. Thanks for that answer. I wonder, I guess this is to administration at some point in the near future. Could we maybe perhaps push this message out through our social media? Let the farmers know that this option is available to them?
If we receive information from IRCA, Mr. Burney, we can definitely cross promote.
Happy to provide, Your Worship.
Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Thank you for that verbal report, Mr. Burney. At this point, I'm going to look for the presentation by Tim Burney be received, and that the correspondence from the Essex Regional Conservation Authority containing the IRCA 2025 budget discussion and analysis be received and approved. Moved by Counselor Mady, seconded by Counselor Garon. All in favor, or any questions? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to unfinished business, seeing none, we'll move on to item 10.0, reports from administration. Report number 10.1, verbal report by CAO Suite on the holiday garbage pickup.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Shepley. The scheduling discrepancy was identified in the waste collection calendar following the Christmas holidays. This affected residents wards 1 and 2 in the town of Essex and parts of the municipality of Lakeshore. Due to this error, many residents were unaware of the correct pickup date and did not put their garbage out in time. The next regular collection was originally scheduled for the following weeks, causing further inconvenience. Once a discrepancy was discovered, the town of Essex, the Solid Waste Authority, and the garbage contractor worked swiftly to address the situation. The response included multiple calls and emails between all three parties occurred to identify potential solutions. Based on that, a special garbage collection was scheduled and carried out on Monday, December 30th, ahead of the next regular collection, Thursday, January 2nd. Updates were posted on the town social media channels, and the town council was informed. Residents were advised to continually check the town of Essex social media platforms for the most accurate and up-to-date information. We can also confirm that the additional pickup incurred, there was no extra cost for the town. Following the resolution, an internal debrief was held with the mayor, deputy mayor, and staff to review the incident and its handling. So just some background, the annual waste collection calendar is developed by the Solid Waste Authority for all local municipalities and includes information such as garbage and yard waste pickup dates, recycling schedules, and town promotions. Key points regarding the creation, the town pays for printing and distribution of the calendar. Each municipality is responsible for verifying the accuracy of the information related to their area. Information is provided by the garbage and recycling contractors. Historically, pickup adjustments following holidays were noted. Information was forwarded based on the number of days after the holiday, which has led to potential misinterpretations. So based on all this and debriefing, some proactive measures town administration is looking at taking. So to prevent similar issues, the town has implemented the following measures for the 2025 calendar. Pickup adjustments will list specific dates rather than number of days after the holiday to minimize errors. So example, instead of saying 2 days after Christmas, it'll actually say December 27th. Improved communication, Solid Waste Authority will ensure that updated contact information for all municipalities is provided annually, avoiding delays or miscommunication caused by staff turnover. And previously, town administration already initiated a thorough review of the 2025 calendar during the fall of 2024 to confirm accuracy with each of the external contractors and receiving sign-offs. So at this time, the town of Essex sincerely apologizes for the inconvenience caused during the holiday season. We remain committed to learning from this incident and continuing to implement best practices to prevent similar issues in the future. Deputy Mayor Shepley, that is my update.
Appreciate the report and all the efforts that everybody put into helping solve that issue that came about. Looking for a motion to receive. Moved by Mayor Bondi, seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Moving on to item 10.2, Capital Works, update on driveway at 33 Irwin Avenue. The recommended action that Capital Works and Asset Management Report 2025-01 be received, and that council approve the construction of approximately 600 millimeters, approximately 2 feet of additional driveway with a 300 millimeter flare on the south side of the existing driveway at 33 Irwin from the Irwin Avenue reconstruction project budget. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor McGuire Blaze, seconded by Councilor Garon. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Thank you. Item 10.3, Planning 2025-01, 0 Maidstone Avenue West. That looking for to receive that the planning report 2025-01 be received, and that the bylaw number 2400 be read a third time and finally passed on January 13, 2025. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor McGuire-Blaze, seconded by Mayor Bondi. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Capital Works and Asset Management, 2025-02. Amherstburg Access Agreement, Ducharme Lane. That the Capital Works and, oh, I'll pass this over to Director Gerard, sorry.
Thank you, through the chair. As council is aware, in June 2023, the town was downloaded the responsibility of environmental approvals for stormwater and sanitary infrastructure expansions that meet certain pre-approval criteria known as Consolidated Linear Infrastructure Environmental Compliance Approvals, or CLI ECAs. The Ducharme Phase 2 subdivision is the first development that requires expansion to proceed in McGregor since these downloaded responsibilities. Since the town owns and maintains the stormwater infrastructure in the area, the CLI ECA is issued by the town of Essex, but the sanitary sewers being owned and operated by Amherstburg would require approvals from them. In consultation with the ministry for when the infrastructure is located outside of a municipal boundary, each Amherstburg and Essex have a clause in their approval documents from the ministry for a requirement to have a written agreement with the respective municipality to which the infrastructure is located. The report and appended agreement is the authorization to provide those approvals. Our recommendation is that council authorize this agreement as the development would not be able to proceed without it.
At this time, I'll look for, no, I read all this one. Oh, is there any questions? Sorry. Mayor Bondi.
Chair, just to Director Gerard, is there any component of public consultation with this process?
Through the chair, so this is, in essence, this is just the environmental compliance, just to extend the sanitary system into the new phase. So there's no public consultation as it relates to environmental compliance. No.
Seeing none, at this time, we'll look for that the Capital Works and Asset Management Report 2025-02 be received and that council authorize administration to enter into an authorization agreement for Phase 2 of the Ducharme Lane development with the town of Amherstburg as attached. All mover and a seconder on that. Moved by Councillor Hammond. Seconded by Mayor Bondi. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries unanimously. Now we're moving on to item 11, reports from youth members.
Nothing to report this week.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you for that. Moving on to item 12, the county council report. We haven't had a meeting since our last report, so there's nothing to update on at this time. And we'll need a motion that the County of Essex regular meeting minutes listed in the agenda, item 12, be received. Moved by Councillor Hammond, seconded by Mayor Bondi. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries unanimously. Moving on to correspondence, we will receive all and then we'll come back if we want to pull any out. Moved by Councillor Mady, seconded by Mayor Bondi. All in favor? And that carries. Would you like to pull any out? Councillor Verbeek.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. No surprise, right? So I'm looking at the letter 13.1.3 from the town of Cobalt. And I'm hoping that we can pull this and support it and send letters of our own. The town of Cobalt has sent a letter to the government of Canada, of Ontario, asking them to put some pressure on Impact to resume the assessment cycle. I can tell you, since I was my very first conference as an elected councillor, that was the hot topic. I've heard it at Roma, I've heard it at AMO. Other municipalities are see the need. We've heard from Impact a lot of lip service for 5+ years. So I'm just thinking we should at least support this and send a letter of our own and encourage, or have the government encourage MPAC to, resume the assessment cycle. I'm looking for support.
Yeah, looking for a seconder on that. Councillor McGuire Blaze seconds, and CAO Sweet, you'd like to comment.
Deputy Mayor Shepley, just for council, there is a notice of motion to be brought forward tonight by Councillor McGuire Blaze, which actually a full resolution addressing the same thing. So I'm not sure if council wants to send a letter supporting that and also our own letter, or kind of wait till we hear Councillor McGuire Blaze's notice of motion.
Anyone have any comments? Mayor Bondi.
Can we just do ours tonight and then come back with the notice of motion process?
So I'll take a vote on that. All in favor? Opposed? I'll do it. Okay. Is there any other that you guys would like to pull out? And none, we'll move on to item 13.2, Arts, Culture, and Tourism Committee. Appointment of the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Committee member that. Okay, I suggest that we receive and support this application, that the application by Dvika Shumakurdi. Did I pronounce it right? I'm sorry. So we need a mover and a seconder on that to receive and support that. Moved by Mayor Bondi, seconded by Councillor Matey. Any questions? Probably a few. Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries. Moving on to item 14, that the committee meeting minutes listed in the agenda, item 14, together with any recommendations to council noted therein, be received and approved as adopted and circulated. There's recommendations in 14.2 and 14.4. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that? Moved by Councillor McGuire Bay, seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that carries unanimously. Item 15, nothing under financial and nothing under new business. Item number 17, notices of motion. I'll turn this over to Director Malinjuklo.
Deputy Mayor Shepley, through you. The following notice of motion was presented at the December 16, 2024 regular council meeting and is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. Moved by Mayor Bondi that council requests a report from administration outlining initiatives and projects completed in the 2024 and planned for in the 2025 year that help to address flooding in the municipality.
Oh, looking for a seconder. Councillor Hammond, Mayor Bondi, would you like to speak to it? Go ahead.
Glad, Chair. Just if a resident came up to us right now and said, what are we doing or what have we done in terms of addressing flooding since the last flood? We would all be like, we did the subsidy program, we're looking at infiltration. So I think it's just a good idea to get it packaged up in a report. This way we can send it to our residents, say, we've reviewed pump stations, we reviewed the operation of pump stations, we've reviewed, our subsidy. We can have it all in one spot. And then we could also look at where the gaps are. So for example, the project that Mr. Burney proposed to us tonight, we have a gap in information collecting in McGregor. I know we're doing everything we can, and no amount of municipal money would have solved the flood that happened in August, but we are making gains and we are trying. So I think a report will just help us share the information and also highlight gaps that we can look forward to in even 2026 and beyond budgets.
Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. Moving on to item 17.2.
Mayor Shepley, through you. The following notices of motion are for presentment only and will be brought forward for council's consideration at the February 3, 2025 regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor McGuire Blaze that council direct administration to provide a report on the status of negotiations with the Ministry of Transportation on the sidewalk expansion on South Talbot from the Cipher Systems Group Greenway to Reed Street and the Hanlon Road expansion. And that the report should include information and timelines on the funding the town is expected to receive from the MTO for both projects. Second, also moved by Councilor McGuire Blaze, whereas in 2023, Association of Municipalities Ontario with industry partners began advocating for a timely return to the assessment cycle, given that outdated assessments can be inaccurate, increase volatility, and are not fully transparent. And whereas a result of this advocacy was a letter from the Minister of Finance Office, Peter Bethelfalvy, stating that a review of the property assessment and taxation system would be conducted and therefore reassessment would be deferred until such review was completed. And whereas to date, no further information has been provided on a potential reassessment or findings on the review of the system, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Essex direct administration to send a letter to the local MPP office, MPAC representatives, and the Office of the Minister of Finance, with AMO included for receipt, requesting a status update on the property taxation and assessment review and timelines for the introduction of the next reassessment cycle.
Moving on to reports from and announcements from council members. I'll start with my two online members. I'll start with you, Councillor Verbeek, then Councillor Allard. Nothing to report, Councillor Verbeek. Councillor Allard, anything to report? No. We'll start on the left side with you, Councillor McGuire Blaze. Moving on. So do I just read all of this? Okay, so I was checking. So bylaw number 2411, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the December 16th, 2024 regular council meeting of council. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Mady, seconded by Councillor Hammond. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Bylaw number 2396, being a bylaw to provide for the 14th concession, East Drain and Branch. That bylaw 2396 be read a third time and finally passed on January 13th, 2024. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Guerin, second by Councillor McGuire Blaze. Any questions? All in favor? And that carries. Bylaw number 2397, being a bylaw to provide for the Walker Drain repairs and improvements, that the bylaw 2397 be read a third time and finally passed on January 13th, 2025. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Hammond, seconded by Councillor Mady. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. On to bylaws that require first and second reading. Bylaw number 2413, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 13th regular 2025 regular council meeting, that the bylaw 2413 be read a first and second time and provisionally passed on January 13th, 2025. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor McGuire Blaze, second by Councillor Verbeek. Any questions? All in favor? And that carries. And now I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Hammond, seconded by Councillor Verbeek. All in favor? That carries. Thank you, everyone. Good night.